Hello. There we go. The sound appears to be working. The stream appears to be working. And welcome back. To another stream where I'm doing more 4D in development. 4.5D. Last time I mucked about with some physics, and then I had some picnic tables and they bounced around a bit before slowly sliding to a stop, and they're very bouncy and a little bit random. Wow, that was pretty bad. Huh. Well, it shows you what good work I did last time. That didn't exactly work right. But in general, the oh, not quite. Hanging on. I'm making a squish it through the hole. Very good. So yeah, there's some physics and some tables can bounce around. You can do some weird stuff with physics from different angles, like this. Is this correct? Probably not exactly, but whoa. There's always an insect in this room. There we go. It's not terrible. Yeah, there we go. Everything's modelled just as boxes at the moment, so that's why these picnic tables exhibit strange behaviour, like hanging half off a ledge when they seem like they should be definitely falling off. And of course nothing can rotate because rotations are just silly. And I can bomb about spawning picnic tables here, there and everywhere. And in general the physics is... it's okay. It's not tremendous, but it's not too bad. I'm not going for a high fidelity physics puzzler here. This is just, there's going to be some stuff stacked up and, you know, you can move it around to jump on it, etc. All in all, it looks like the bizarre fever dream we know and love, so that's good. What I'm going to do today is, well, I'm going to look at the Trello board that I've prepared earlier. So there's the rendering task, that's, I'll put that down the bottom. That's to do with more advanced rendering. I could really do with some lighting as well when I'm thinking about rendering. So we're going to fix collisions across room boundaries. I'll show why that's a problem in a minute. We're going to assemble bodies out of fixtures, by which I mean the bodies at the moment are just a bounding box, but what I want it to do is assemble it out of smaller parts. Smaller bounding boxes, so you can get a shape that's more appropriate for a picnic table. Some way to visualize these might also be good, but might also be complicated. Physics callback for collisions and detector fixtures, so you might want to have a door that opens, and one way to do that is to give it a collision box that hits the player only, and when the player steps into that collision box it triggers a collision callback and then the door opens. I mean, that's almost certainly something I will want to have. Right, but for now I'm going to fix collisions across room boundaries, and I'm going to demonstrate why that's a problem. Because oh, very nice. Because, well, let's first of all make these tables spawn falling straight down so I can more accurately place them. Now when I spawn some picnic tables here, they should fall straight down so I can make a more perfect tower. Look at that. Beautiful. And you can see the bounding box is a little bit big on them, but that doesn't matter. Good stuff. So now, if I spawn a picnic table here, in the blue room, and here in the yellow room, as you can see, they don't actually collide with each other. And in fact are resting in very different places. Curious. Not exactly sure why that's come to rest. Oh, that's probably to do with the body resting code. Now if I am to drop another picnic table here, it's creating a bit of a kerfuffle. Oh, you know what might be easier if I go around this way. Like that. If I drop a picnic table here, it should push them between rooms, and then they do collide properly. But oh, and then they stop because now this one's in the yellow room and this one's in the blue room. You cannot win. Anyway, as you can see, it's not quite right. So what we need to do is make them collide even when they're in a different room. And combined with the fixture-based bodies will open up the possibility for a moving body to collide with itself due to the spatial folding. So that's certainly a special case that's kind of weird that I might need to take a look at. But we'll get to that when I get to it. Okay, so this bit here, so let's go through the physics sub-step. So the physics step calls sub-step 5 times and does little physics steps. So in a sense the physics is running at 5 times the frames per second. So if it's 60 frames per second, you're getting 300 physics frames, which is a nice way to make the physics a bit more stable. But it only really works if the physics is fairly light. Normally you would move things and run an iterative solver. But in my case, seeing as the moving and solving is all pretty light, I can just do some really, really fine steps. So what does it do? It creates a bucket for each room and moves each body and then moves it between rooms if it has moved between rooms, and then puts it into the bucket for its room, and then it solves the collisions in each bucket. So the reason entities don't collide between rooms is because they are only in the bucket for the room they're in, so they don't see entities when they're halfway between 2 different rooms. They should be in both buckets with different reference frames. This bit where it moves bodies from one reference frame to another. It probably doesn't need to do this continually with the physics sub-step, so I'm just going to take that out for now. It does need to move a body from one room to another if it has moved between them, but it doesn't need to check it in such a fine-grained manner. So let's put it back into the end of the actual step. So once it's done the sub-steps, then it will move bodies from one place to another. So if the body's resting, we don't care, which means we don't need that check. And that goes with that. Yeah, okay. So hopefully that should still work. It now just does it once at the end of the frame. let's So what we have here is two picnic tables with opposite gravity, but because one was allowed to accelerate a lot faster initially, it's now settled into a fairly constant speed. Although I feel like friction, continual friction between them might eventually burn that speed off. Oh no, not friction between them, the restitution. Anyway, they are definitely colliding. Let's push back harder. Now it's one fast table pushing two smaller tables. Beautiful. And it's come to a rest. Should they really have come to a rest? Probably not. This actually is not really relevant to what I was talking about a second ago. Well there you go, that's the reason why it's coming to a rest. Because it's losing a whole bunch of energy every time it goes to room transition, because the way the collisions work is halted for that brief moment in space. Okay, but nonetheless they are colliding, they're moving from room to room, and that frees up some space here. So that's cool. So we make a transform to move the object. When we're populating the buckets, we make a transform to move the object from its own reference frame into the room's basis reference frame. And then we create a scoped body using that transform in that bucket. Well, that's cool. But it's not cool enough. So we definitely want to add it to the bucket that it is currently in, but we also want to add it to any adjacent buckets. It could be in a few. I don't want to make objects that are bigger than like an entire room. So, well, I mean, I kind of do, but for sanity's sake, let's just not. Okay, this is a little bit tricky. We've got the reference frame size, which is a vec3, which has the room size in the reference frame of the actual body, and we divided that in half, so we know if, for example, body pos x plus body h size, half size x, is bigger than size x, then it should also be in the bucket for the side in the body's reference frame, direction positive x. Cool. What does that mean? It's a good question. Okay, so how do you work that out? You get a reference frame which is the same as the body's reference frame, but you want to move it in the direction of positive x. And you also want to make an offset which is going to be a frame offset of, it's really like, it's size x plus size w. In the negative x direction, which is I think what the frame offset function actually does. What the heck? Get out of here. Unbelievable. Okay. I wish I had some snacks. I'm hungry. Well, I'm not hungry. I'm snacky. A little bit snacky. I usually have a sneaky biscuit once the kids go to bed. But I did not purchase biscuits. Probably for the better. Okay, so does this reference frame, how am I using this? Do I ever need it to be specifically a vec3? I define it there and I use it in the physics engine. Once there, where I dot it against the vec3, and once in the bit I'm actually writing, and also once also there. So I only really use it in 3 places, and it's not. Get out of here. And this is a hack, and this is a this has hack next to it, and this has make this less confusing for the compiler, please. Not that it's confusing for the compiler, but it's a pretty bonkers piece of code. And then the bit I'm writing. So it seems this reference frame size function could become a vec4. And then I will just say, whoa, excuse me. And the 4th side is the actual side. And I also need to update the header file. Okay, let's just compile that. I was halfway through writing something here, so that's completely broken, so let's recompile that again. Okay, yes, I know it's... So now it's complete, it can't dot against the size, so all we can do is, well, we don't care about the last part here. Same with this. Here, we do not care about the last part. A little bit on the wasteful side, but these are both things that need to be reworked anyway, so I'm not going to shed a huge number of tears about the fact they are a little bit wonky. So what was the offset going to be? It would be size X and also size W. So that's the offset we need to apply. Okay, so now we can make a new transform. I'm going to call it transforming, and it's going to be transpose of world rooms on new reference frame side basis. I'm going to times that by matrix route reference frame. I'm going to times it by GLM translate just going to call GLM translate on it, which doesn't exist because I have not included it, but that's easily included. GLM GTC, I think, matrix transform. Okay, should have translate function. Translated by offset. Okay, so now we can say dbuckets for that reference frame side, bodies, and place back, scoped body made with this transform, that's body. Now will this work? I did a bunch of stuff with like right multiplying things, and I honestly don't know if that's gonna translate. But when we go to positive x, which is through this way, it should collide through there. So if we move so that this, but it's in the reference frame of the object. So it would be the positive x of the object, so it would be like moving through that. Let's do the y. Let's do... Okay, we've done x. Let's do negative y. Because that's one that I can actually get it to do. So negative y will be body pos y minus half size y is less than negative size y. So in this case we're going off the bottom from the object's perspective, which is an easy one to trigger because that is what we think of as gravity. So in this case the offset should be size y plus size w. So we're going to move it by half the y of this and half the y of the next row. I can't remember why that makes sense, but I'm sure it does. I've been through it before on stream, so let's just say it makes sense. Okay, so now objects falling downwards should collide with stuff below them. Okay, so that one wasn't actually placed in a way such that it can exit the room. So immediately I can tell that the offsets don't work. And also bodies come to rest in ways that don't make sense. So let's just take out this resting thing. I think at the end of the last stream when I implemented it, I said they're resting way too easily. Obviously, it's way too easy. I'm seeing them freezing in midair, and I saw it previously. Let's whoa. What is going on here? I don't know. I'm going to chuck another table in the mix. See, how are they colliding? Yeah. So there's clearly a miscalculation there that causes them to sometimes spring upwards, and as such, they're gaining colossal amounts of energy. Whoops! Oh well, that's a bug. What was that bug though? How are they? It's going to be the right multiplier, I know for a fact. So the oi. Pech. Oi. Is right multiplying the same as multiplying with the transpose? Well, one way to find out is if I just make some nonsense here and just assert on it. Let's just, instead of trying to understand the maths, let's just do a shotgun test. Let's try some maths and see if we get the answer. Because if we don't, then we know it's not true. Test. So I'm going to make a translation matrix. From test, and we're going to just translate by, I don't know, 2, 3, 5. Vec 4. P is test times P. Let's just go through a bunch of them. So it's 2, 3 is going to be right multiply. And for good measure, let's do multiplication by right. Yes, they are unused variables. It's true. Okay, so we made a matrix, did a bunch of multiplications on it, and we can see what we get. How do what code is this in? Oh, there we go. It's triggered. Okay, my debugger helpers are working. Okay, so answer 1. Test times P gives us 2, 3, 5, and 1. That is exactly what I would expect. Answer 2. Transpose gives us 0, 0, 0, and 1. Yeah, that makes sense. The right multiply of the transpose. So left and right multiply are the same as transpose. That's true. But it's not as trivial to invert because it's not an orthonormal matrix once you add a transpose in. Because once you add the translation in, it's not an orthonormal matrix, so you can't use the transposition as the inverse. You actually would have to calculate the inverse, which isn't really tricky to do. So here's the matrix. That's very nice. So this is actually column based. So when I multiply 0, 0, 0, 1 in there, that 1 gets multiplied into 2 on the x. So we get 0 times that, 0 times that, 0 times that, 1 times that for x. Same here for y, same here for z, and the 1 times the 1 for w. So I get 2, 5, 1. When it's transposed, these end up on this side. So I have 0 down here. So the x is going to be the x, the y is going to be y, the z is going to be z, and w is going to be 1 because these. Oh no, well, it'll be 2. Yeah, it's going to be some messed up value. It's going to be based on this side of the thing. Anyway, so having one transpose, is there an easy way to calculate the inverse transpose? Well, yeah, there is kind of an easy way of calculating the inverse transpose. I do it right now. So what we would do is set test2 3 is going to be. Oh wait. So first you get rid of the translation, so it returns to an orthonormal matrix. And then test2 would be insects become a transpose of test2. And then you want to reverse the thing and then swap it back in. What the hell? Go away, insect. So I think if I do that, actually, I don't know if I could just transpose the 3 by 3. Probably be easier. Test 3 is going to be test 2 times test, and that should, if I've worked this all out, be a identity matrix. So what does this mean? It means that a lot of this assignment code is kind of stupid. Well, not really, but start debugging, spawn a couple of picnic tables. Blech. Okay, well, we've got too much stuff here. Why? Yeah, I don't care about that. Go away. Oh my gosh, I just noticed my face is in the way of the debugger anyway. What? There we go. So let's just check. Is this... No, okay, of course it's not because I negated the whole thing. It almost is right. Yeah, it's got -1. Out of curiosity, how does matrix inverse actually work in GLM? So what's the cost of it? The documentation just links to the GLSL function to tell you what matrix inverse is. See, I would have assumed that calling a matrix inverse is pretty costly. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Okay, so let's go to this test code. what might make this more just... So I don't want to make it super complex because that's always miserable. I don't make things miserable. The easiest way to do this would be to make that matrix 3 and make this a vec3 with the offset. Oh, I could do some standard move there. Ha! I don't do that very often. Then this just becomes transform times that plus offset. This just becomes transform times that. Nope, offset. And then this just comes absolute transform times stage size. So all in all, it's less complex. Obviously everything's like, oh, what are you doing? But that's fine. So straight up it's like, hey, you can't call that like that. Don't be silly. And I'll just be like, hey, no I can, look, I've done it. So we could just get rid of matrix transformations altogether. We're not going to do them. We're going to stick with the orthonormal matrices. Oh, I've just noticed my face is gone. Here I am. I was still here all along. I was just gone. Ha! But I'm back. Okay, so let's just look at this bucket code. Okay, take a reference frame, move the reference frame, calculate the offset, make a transformy matrix. I'm going to make from a map 4. Don't translate anything. And just give the offset in there. Similarly, in here, we're going to do the exact same thing. Because this piece of code is a copy paste of that piece of code. And, you know, yeah, something like that. Whoa, that became overly happy quickly. I don't like that. Right, let's just have a look at the parts where it writes back. So for velocity, we do want to write multiply, but it doesn't need to be a vec form. Pause. This time we're going to subtract offset, and then we're going to write multiply. Okay, easy peasy. Same here, velocity straight up, we can go through that. And position, we're going to subtract the there. And then write multiply, okay. Okay. Quick, get down here and then I don't know why I do that weird translation. Because I could just go 2 rooms that way. Okay, so now we've got 2 picnic benches. And they've reached a funny kind of equilibrium. Let's introduce a 3rd. Oh, we got some Newton's cradle stuff going on. Not exactly sure what kind of test this really is, because this is quite a bizarre scenario. We have two benches pushing on two benches. Let's return to the here. Is this positive X? If it is, these should collide. They don't collide there. Maybe it's this way. Or, you know what, if I just start from this room, I know that this is positive X. Wow, that's definitely not right. There we go. Look at that. They're truly colliding with each other. And some of that almost worked, apart from I haven't really done all the... Oh! It pushed it through! Oh, it bounced! I hit it again! What's going on? Oh, that's like a physics thing. I was surprised that it hit it again. So this pushed it down, and then it had enough momentum that one table went this way, and it collided here, and the other one fell down. But of course, they're both falling, and it's the same distance. So they were destined to collide. That was pretty exciting. Now these are colliding, or they should be colliding, but they're not. So let's agitate that somewhat. By putting one here. Wow, that totally just ignored that one. But now we have a nice 0G picnic table. They're only touching by the finest sliver. But they should collide with this on the way back up, I guess. And then they don't, because they pushed it to the other room. Until this one goes halfway through the room, then it will collide. I'll probably gain a bunch of energy because it's inside it. So once the halfway point of this gets over the room boundary, it will change rooms. And then it'll have a colliding good time. Ah, it's free. Okay. Well, overall, that did seem to work. This stuff. It's a little bit... I don't want to paste like 6 blocks like this. This offset is only used in one place, and so is this transformation. So I could just paste these in. The reference frame though, well, let's try and make it into a for loop for the 6 cardinal directions, and I'm just putting a 6 right there. You shouldn't really put like a 6 in the code, but There are 6 cardinal directions in a 3-dimensional universe. I don't care that much. I care a bit, but not too much. Okay, so we're going to turn that into an axis, so we're going to turn that into a vec3. So now we'll have something that will be like 1, 0, 0 for the first one, then negative 1, 0, 0, and then 0, 1, 0, and so on for all 6 cardinal directions. And the axis is just the direction. So what do we want to know? We want to know if I just ground to a halt there. Let's think about this. If body position x, well, we don't know it's x, but we can do dot product. So the dot of AV and body pos x plus body h size, is it plus? No, okay, so with that is bigger than size x, is that correct? Maybe. So what I'm going to do is just flip it around. So just continue. Okay, so now we know it's exceeding that direction. And we can move reference frame in the direction of the axis. And then we're pretty much done. We just need to go to buckets for that reference frame side, bodies, and place back a new scoped body and what's the scope body going? It's going to be GLM transpose worlds rooms RF sides basis multiplied by the matrix of the reference frame. That's the first parameter. Second parameter is the offset. Now this is more complex. It's going to be the axis vector, component-wise multiplied by a probably pre-calculated vector. Whoops. Of size plus size W, and it is for the body okay, let me just turn it into something that looks vaguely sensible. So that's not especially egregious. I mean, that's more of this hacky for-loop weird code. Okay, none of that doesn't make sense. Okay, because I used A in the loop I copied that from. Ruffles. That's just a thing. Semantic error. No matching call. So I cannot dot product a 3-component vector with it does, yeah. Oh yeah, this is not correct at all. Let me just think about that again. So if I dot product the vector there, so for 1 that will pull out the body pos, for -1 it will pull out the negative body pos, and for x, y, z it will pull out a specific component. I also want to get the component of h size and the component of size. Well, a little bit of algebra never hurt anyone. Let's subtract h size there, and we can dot that against AV. But I don't actually want it to be negative or... Okay. Converting that to a 4D vector has been very... That. Okay, so we really want an absolute of that. That's what we want. Well, that was good. It's just not moving between rooms. Right, let's just be sensible about this. Let's go here, put one table on this side, move just one voxel to the other, put another table on that side. They do not collide. Not even slightly. That's... Did I compile this? Okay, I expected that to at least work a little bit, but it didn't. So that's bad. One on this side. Oh, that's in the wall. It's scraping against the wall. Okay, so they are not colliding. They are colliding. They're not colliding. I never did any z-axis ones in the test code. But it's only doing the one... It's only doing the one I... But the test code I wrote, it's doing X. Have I made this specific to X in somehow? In some way? I don't see that I have. Probably good to debug this and see if I can pick up on a reason why this might be. What? I don't know what transition I'm using. I'm going to rename these. This one is my face, so I'm going to rename that to my face. And this one, they were called screen full and screen only. That was going to be code full. There we go. Whoa! Okay, cool. I'm just messing with my OBS things. Okay, so... What is this actually colliding right now? Oh, it's the chaise lounge. I need to get rid of that, or not get rid of it. Let's calm down the creation of chaise launches for the time being, because it's cheese lunch, because it truly is not required right now. Okay, so we know it didn't work on this direction. Let's try putting one of these here. Bang. Okay, cool. So the size is 16, 16, 16, 16 because it is indeed a cube. This body that we're looking at is our picnic table. It's right at 15 on the x-axis, so that's good. So the very first one in here, positive x, AV is 100. So dot AV and body pos, well, that will give you 15.27. Is that less than equal to vec size is 16 minus h size 1.8. well 1.9, that's gonna give you that's gonna be 14.1 dotted with 100. You're gonna get 14.1. So is that less? No, this should, yes, it goes through. I'm getting tired, but I will not give in, or will I? So it's moved to, it's calculated a different reference frame, which is the negative or positive X room, and that's fine. Yeah, that should be good. That should be fine. Creating a transform. I don't know if that's scope body function. Can you just crop a? Yeah, you can. You can just crop a mat 4 to a mat 3. That's a bit strange. The offset is 32. Huh. That offset is wrong, because the body's position is 15. The offset should be negative 32. So my offset's back to front. Okay, let's work with that. Whoa! I'm very inaccurate with OBS. It's got these tiny little buttons and I'm clicking them. So my offset is wrong. Why is my offset wrong? Because it is negated. That's why it's wrong. Okay. Let's just try that. Let's see what happens. I'm not even going to run it in debugger. This is going to be straight up. Why did it work on one of the sides then? It should definitely not have worked. Worked on that side. This is the side that did work previously when I really feel it shouldn't have. And once again I've put it in the wall. Oh, that's too bad. Nice. Oh boy. And the grace. What am I testing right now? I'm testing collisions between objects that are in different rooms. So if I go over here, I can show you. If I get aligned up, so I can spawn a picnic table by clicking here. There we go. Now if I spawn it, if I move just into this other room, as you can see the rendering changes. If I spawn one in this room, it should balance on top of that one, which it does. They're just bounding boxes, which is why the actual legs aren't hitting the voxel. So it's just a cuboid, but it looks like a picnic table. So that definitely works for these axes. The only other one to check is the upsy downsy one. So I'm going to make another gravity defying machine. Spawn a picnic table there, move over to this reference frame, spawn a corresponding picnic table, and wait for them to stabilize. So then we have two picnic tables that have opposite gravity reference frames. One of them has more velocity because I spawned it earlier, but they're going to reach an equilibrium. They're now essentially a zero gravity object because the forces of gravity are balanced on them, although there's mild friction, so I think they slowly lose energy over time. But what is interesting is if I observe, they're actually going a bit too fast. Let's slow it down by just jamming another one in there. Okay, now we can get to it. Okay, now it's 2v1, so this is actually going to start accelerating that way. I can't win! But in any case, they are behaving consistently between rooms. They're not phasing through each other, which is what we saw earlier. So that's good. I'm going to drop one there, and then run fastly over this way and drop another one to try and make a more even gravity machine. No, it's still moving downwards. There we go, 6 picnic tables piled up, 3 of them with reverse gravity. Get 0G picnic table stack. You can see it off in the oh, you know what might be cool is if I go here, you should be able to follow it going round and round this room. Okay, yeah, that's the only type of picnic I will attend these days. Which is to say, do not go to picnics because that's irresponsible in the plague times, in the era of sickness. Let's have a little bit of fun, seeing as this appears to work, and let's make the hole bigger. Wow, this is more open. Now I can zoom around spawning picnic tables all over the place. And then it'll turn into a weird fever dream of stuff colliding in ways that's not nice. Okay, so I've just spawned, I don't know, 30, 40 picnic tables. Unfortunately there's no drag. I might put some drag in. Yeah. Oof, that's not right. So as you can see, it's generally making sense. I imagine this is what World War II is like. It's according to what I've noticed on the History Channel, that does seem accurate. Wow, that is definitely wrong. So there's still, but why is it doing that? How has it even got that far? Stop it. Stop. Okay, so one of the things that does happen is if I find a spot that's not got picnic tables in the way and just place a picnic table, you will notice that it accelerates. Oh, that's halfway between two worlds. Very good. Yeah, you'll notice that it accelerates indefinitely. And thus it's basically like a particle accelerator for picnic tables. It'll just accelerate indefinitely, and then when something else gets in the way, it will impart that energy onto that. Very effectively, which can launch things into like walls and stuff. Which I believe might be what happened there. There was some other stuff I noticed as I was walking around the picnic zone that weren't quite right. I don't know how much of it was caused by this kind of stuff. I apologize for the flickering. I'll actually turn that off. So once things accelerate so much that they're making large steps, obviously the physics loses all its stability, and you can get stuff wedged in walls and so on. I'm not actually handling wall collisions very smartly. There's internal wall collisions that probably shouldn't happen, and I probably should go and fix it. But aside from that, it's not good for objects to accelerate indefinitely like that. Nor should they, because there should be like air resistance, that kind of thing. So what I want to do is introduce some air resistance, I think. And one way to do that is to stop mangling the changes. Right, let's just sort out this cross-room collisions, because whilst I think it's still buggy, ultimately it does kind of work. So it's certainly better than what was there previously, which was nothing. And something is generally preferable to nothing. I'm just checking the diffs. This is the stuff we just looked at today. I disabled resting because it's buggy. That's fine, I'll just leave it like that. And yeah, okay, so I'm gonna what did I change? Add cross-room collisions. Should also work for voxels. Okay, let's push that in. Right. Now to go back to the weird picnic centrifuge brain experiment. What I want to do now is add a little bit of air resistance, because things shouldn't generally accelerate forever. So how do you introduce air resistance? Well, you want to adjust the acceleration. Air resistance is a force. There's actually should be related to the aerodynamic profile of your object. For example, if it's a brick, it would be moving that way. For example, it would be that face, and well, the way air flows around it that would largely determine this. But that I don't care. So if you factor in the fact that I don't care, we can make much simpler air resistance and just say it has some. Everything has some air resistance. Is it resistance or resistance? Resist. It is resistance. I don't know. Let's say some small amount. So this is going to be an acceleration. Resistance. Yes. I doubted myself, and it cost me valuable seconds. So this is a force acting in the opposite direction from your velocity, proportional to your velocity. The higher your velocity, the more air resistance you have. Okay, so let's just say I'm just going to do force. So this is the force of air resistance. It's going to be opposite direction from velocity, also proportional to the size of velocity. So then I don't want to just multiply that by velocity. Okay, there we go. And it's proportional by this factor, which I've set to 0.005. Okay, and how do we turn that into an acceleration? Well, we divide it by mass, which does make sense. Things with more mass have less air resistance. And of course, our mass is inverse mass, so we just multiply by inverse mass. So acceleration plus force. There we should have some of the worst air resistance we've ever seen, and I just typed in a constant. How bad is the air resistance? How fast will this fall? Yeah, that's still pretty fast. So this is actually just a linear drag force. Oh, no, I'm doing this wrong. Am I doing this wrong? How does this work? So that's so to explain it, even if this was really high, I don't think this would ever actually. And I believe the inverse mass is 1, so we can kind of ignore that for now. Yeah, it is. I believe this is a linear drag force, and thus will impact the acceleration of an object, but will not impact its maximum speed, because it doesn't matter. Oh no, wait. Maybe I'm wrong. That seems like it's not getting any faster. Will that impact its maximum speed? I'm starting to think it will. I'm not running it in the debugger, so okay. In fact, I'm just running it from a command line. Let's run a debugger before I try debugging it. Yes, that's all good. So what surprised me there, I had somewhat convinced myself that it was a linear drag force, and thus would never overcome the actual velocity of the object, and thus would not cap its maximum speed. Obviously that appears not to be the case, because that is capped. Let's have a look. Whoa! Okay, I believe it's roughly at its maximum speed. So it's going 30 downwards. Oh, and its acceleration will be 15. Yes. So if we want to make I mean, it's only 1 kilogram. It really should be larger. But also, that air resistance should be lower. What's a good top speed? I don't know. Faster than 30. 30 seems very slow for a 1 kilogram object. Let's make it 10 times faster. So it might just be the fact that the constant I chose is so that's still unpleasantly fast. And presumably if I make it heavier, so if I make it, I don't know, 100 kilograms, its terminal velocity would be a lot higher. Which actually is not really what I want. I know that's how that is actually how reality works. Is that how reality works? I don't know. I don't know if... What I really would like is there to be a speed limit. So let's quit trying to do this super realistically. I don't know what speed limit will be good. Let's say 100. Because maybe that's good. So I want you to not reach 100. Let's work out this force. So it's going to be again in the opposite direction of your velocity. How much of it is it going to be? It's going to depend on your velocity. If your velocity is close to 100, you're going to get more force. And it should probably factor in mass or whatever, you know. Because I would like heavy things to approach the speed limit quicker than slow things. Okay, so now I've broke it. Where did it go? How is that broken? Is a force that if that's 0, who cares? Length can easily be 0 divided by speed limit. Okay, 0 divided by 100. It's not divided by 0 problem. But I do seem to have killed my picnic tables. Okay, let's just check where they got to. Yeah, that force is full of nan. Why is that full of nan? Interesting. Oh, of course, I cannot normalize a zero vector. Okay, well, let's just pre-calculate the speed, and if the speed is bigger than 0, that we have a force? Actually, that force, it's just some force, it's a zero force. This is a little bit messy now. But anyway, the ins and outs of it I can tweak offline. Okay, there we go. Now it has a speed limit of 100. That might be still way too fast. I just picked 100. It's still pretty fast. I don't really like 100 as a speed limit. It's not very nice. Well, let's turn the speed limit down. It's like the Expanse. Spoilers. I'm interested. Doesn't that count? Oh, my maths is. Well, that's Is that actually going to cap the speed? I felt like I was just getting faster and faster. So I want things to accelerate pretty quick, but then cap out at a reasonable top speed. Not too fast, but not too slow. And just comfortable. I don't need things falling at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's silly. Okay, the speed is 317 and the speed limit is 60, which suggests this force is not sufficient. I'm curious how it has achieved this. So the force here, just to remove my face so you can see the debugging. It's pushing up with a force of 5.29. Oh yeah! Because it's just giving a one unit force when you hit the speed limit. Because speed over speed limit is 1 when you're at the speed limit. And I, in my head, thought, yeah, it's moving 100%. But of course that's just 1. It's just accelerating up at 1 block per second, which is nowhere near enough to cap the speed. You actually need to work out more. You need to put more work in. That's the problem. I need to work out probably on paper with a little bit of algebra, calculus, a little formula. Man, my words are getting mixed. A little formula for imparting a force that pushes back hard enough to cap it at a set speed limit, because it's probably not complicated, and I could probably Google it, to be honest, but I might try working it out by hand. But I will not work it out on stream because I'm tired as always, and it's not really a good position to start working things out. Ruffles. Fixed collisions across room boundaries. That kind of works. Speed limit for falling objects. / air resistance. That's what I'm working on now. And I will continue on that in the next stream, as it'll be something like this, but it'll be like velocity squared plus 4 velocity or something. There'll be some formula. And I would like it to have a gradient based on so to get a little graph, here's time traditionally on there, and here's your falling speed, which is now upwards. So everything has the same curve for falling speed, like that. I mean, I don't know why I've drawn it this way. It would make a lot more sense upside down. There we go. So everything falls at the same rate. The derivative is just a straight line. Or, wait. Yeah. Whoa. I use Windows 10 Paint and it's so bad. So gravitational force is constant and your velocity. Yeah, so I was drawing a position. Yeah, your velocity just decreases like that. So you're getting faster and faster falling. But then I want there to be a speed limit like this. Okay, so wait, now let's draw a bit higher. So we've got some space to do. So with some resistance added in, I would like it to reach like that. But along a nice sort of curve. So you fall and then you ease into that. This doesn't look like indie. Look harder. Obviously it is. Let's use a spline. Very nice. But so for a lighter object, maybe it could be shallower, and for a heavier object, I would like it to curve less here. It would accelerate more aggressively and only hit the speed limit when it's there. And if it's very light, maybe it would be like, whoa, to mimic very light things. So that's what I want. What's the formula for that? I don't know. Probably something. But for now, I don't think I'll check this back because it doesn't work and it isn't right. So for now, I'm just going to leave it. And I will return another time. But for now, I think it was roughly successful. This code kind of works. Collisions definitely happen between rooms, and mostly they're stable. I saw some that looked wrong, certainly, but I'm going to remove the ability for the game to act like a picnic table particle accelerator and see if that fixes it. But for now, I will have to say bye, I guess. Bye. I'm going to stop streaming now. Bye.